So if you don't know me, I'm James, also known as Purple Spider. I'm a freelance web developer based in Edinburgh. And I would just like to give you a quick overview of what I tackled yesterday at the Silvestripe Hackday. So I was tackling enhancements to Elemental's block picker. So I imagine most of you are familiar with it. If you're not, this is what it looks like out the box. Any blocks have an icon that you can customize and a name. Now, on some of the websites, that can get a bit tricky for clients to work out which block makes sense to add into their content when they're only confined to those two options. So if you had multiple hero blocks, you end up with Hero 1, Hero 2, and then you have to end up creating some external preview of the blocks to show the client so they can pick from that. So I've been keen for a while now to enhance that with some screenshots to give clients a more visual representation of what a block looks like before they select it. So yesterday at the Hackday, I managed to create this. Which provides a screenshot for each block. It also groups the blocks into groups. And it's a bit rough around the edges still. The UI needs tidying up. It's very ugly in places and things like that. Before you all get too excited, I will come clean and admit I know nothing about React. And this was a bit of an experiment to do with vibe coding. So this has been completely vibe coded. I was curious because it's been something I wanted to exist, but previously it wasn't anything I was kind of confident to tackle, not knowing React and being able to tap into the existing CMS features in this way. But recently playing around with Claude Code, I thought, well, let's see if it's going to be possible. And this is what I came up with yesterday. So yeah, as I said, it's not perfect, but it's fully operational. It's set up as it is a module. It's picking up the blocks. I can show you the groups are set up in YAML. So you can simply enter in your group name, and then you list the blocks that you want within it. That's all working. The way the screenshots work, you need to create those manually, and then just slot them into a directory that's exposed. And the screenshot name just needs to match the class name of the block. And that's all there is to it. So at the moment, it works as installing the module, setting up the YAML for your groups, and slotting in the screenshots. So whether it's ready for production yet, or whether it will be, I'm going to tidy up around the edges. I need to do a bit more testing with regards to how responsive it actually is. And then I will go through and work out exactly what Claude has done and check. There was, to be fair, there was a couple of false starts. The first time it created it using DOM modification. So there was just a JavaScript file that it added on, and it was just modifying the DOM. And that worked okay, but I wanted to ideally do it the proper way, the correct way. So I did look through the Silverstripe docs, and actually the docs, when it comes to enhancing the UI and modifying existing React components, there was an obvious point in there where it explained that the injector that exists for that works a little bit differently to the PHP-based injector. The PHP-based injector replaces the components that you're wanting to override, whereas reading from the docs, my understanding was that the React injector enhances the existing React components as opposed to completely replaces them. And so it's basically setting up as middleware. And as soon as I directed Claude to do that, then we were on a roll, and things started just working. So yeah, we'll see how that this turns out ultimately. The screenshots, I had a couple of suggestions about whether there was a way to automatically generate the screenshots rather than doing it manually. I mean, my initial thought is most of the time, in my experience, you create the site, you create the blocks never change, and that's it for the lifetime of the website. I imagine there are projects out there where blocks are evolving, you're constantly adding new blocks, and maybe adding in an enhancement that would use Puppeteer or something to automatically create screenshots of the blocks, but maybe that's overkill. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Separately, I did come across, before I started playing with this yesterday, an existing solution that Will created a couple of years ago that doesn't exist as a module, but it is on as a gist. And it's quite clever in that it allows you to add screenshots to the block picker just using CSS. So all you're doing is, instead of where you would normally place the CSS class for the icon that you want to use, you add in a unique CSS class, and then in the CSS you basically point it in the direction of the background image that you want to use. And this works. So this is what it looks like. And just with CSS, so it's very clean, it's very straightforward. Obviously there's no grouping, and you lose the icons, which I kind of like also having alongside the screenshots. But for a really lightweight solution, if you want to use that now, I'd take a look at that. So yeah, that's where I got to yesterday. If anyone wants to have a chat about reviewing how it actually looks behind the scenes, just give me a shout.
Well, I think I've got a couple of questions actually. So presumably, it's still just getting its list of elements from the source that it was before. So it'll still honour the element assignments in the YAML files and things like that.
Exactly. Yes. There's no other change. It is purely just building on top of the existing picker, and so yeah. Or you don't even need the YAML for the groups if you're not using the groups. It will just display them as it did before in one.
And one more before I give the mic to someone else. How are you going to cope, or I think you'll need a mechanism to cope with two elements with the same class name in different namespaces?
Yes, there are various things like that I need to look into, including fixing search.
Namespace your directory.
Yes. Yes. That is a good point.
So any questions, comments? Of course there are questions and comments. Everyone wants this.
Just a suggestion maybe, I don't know. Regarding your screenshot question, I get the idea that it's supposed to be in the design of the website that's running, but maybe it would be an option to say that if we build Elementor blocks as modules, we could provide a screenshot. And your module could check, does this module provide a screenshot? And is there a local one that overrides it? Because for most small projects, you're probably not going to bother.
Yeah, true. It would be nice to have like a placeholder screenshot when someone creates a module that hasn't got any styles in it, but just shows the basic layout. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like settle on a standard way you check for it.
Yes, yes, I like that.
If you have different layout option for one and the same module, you get any idea? Use an animated?
Possibly. I mean,
how would you handle it?
What this kind of opens it up to be able to do, like originally I would, if you've got two different layout options, then yeah, I would traditionally have one block, and or if you have multiple ones, I have one block and then you have modifier options within that block to be able to switch between the different layouts. What this allows you to potentially do is split it off into showing the two different layouts as extra screenshots, because you couldn't do that before, because you'd end up kind of having extra options in the block picker you might have that you'd have to try and visually describe. So text and image on the left, or this, or decorated intro block versus normal intro block, and it just wouldn't make sense. But if you can do it visually, then maybe you could display both of those layouts in the picker, so that everything is available at initial glance. And even using the grouping, we could potentially look at doing something there where you've got each block and then different layouts for each block. So yeah, there's a few ways we could potentially tackle that.
Anyone else? Just thinking of, on Johannes' point of a standardized way to provide it, maybe you could just bundle an extension on base element or something which gave you a method to retrieve an image, so that which returns something blank or a placeholder, and then you could implement your own version of that in your own element, which
Yes.
would, so you've got a standard way of getting it from everything.
That sounds like a pretty standard way that we could attempt it, yeah. That's good.
Cool. No more questions, no more comments? Thank you very much then, James. That was, I think...